Part 61. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 601. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the Dingling Huanlang smart butler ringed the alarm clock loudly. Zinshui lay on her big bed like a big insect, crawling for a while before getting up with difficulty. The last mission in the world was really hard. The female death god had to fight hard for almost 10 days before she managed to pass. My body is really overtired. I have been resting hard for the past 2 days, but I haven't been able to get a good rest. But today, I can't be lazy anymore, I have to get up as early as possible no matter what. If it were an ordinary alarm clock, it would probably be smashed by Zinshui with Senbonzakura. However, the alarm clock here is simulated by a computer system. Even the Zinshui of a B-level reincarnation person is incapable of smashing it. She had to get up obediently, because the smart butler already knew her weaknesses. If she didn't get up, the butler would immediately play the music that made her collapse the most. Brush your teeth, rinse your mouth, wash your face, until you finish breakfast. She finally became energetic. After putting on a handsome uniform, tidying up her appearance, Zinshui left the room. There was no need to take the vehicle provided in the spaceship. With the strength of the female god of death, she arrived at the bridge in a few seconds. Her identity is the guard captain of the Sheneng immigration spaceship. The captain of this spaceship is her father Xian Ku. Report to the captain, guard captain Xian Shui, come and report. Huh, come in, a weak voice responded to her. In the bridge, the captain's seat was transformed into a treatment device. A middle-aged man of about 50 years old was lying on it with several hanging bottles hanging on his body. A bit like Whitebeard in One Piece. He is the captain of the Sheneng, Xian Ku. As Xian Shui's father, he is an S-level reincarnation. Like Xian Shui, he is also the god of death. Dad, how do you feel today? Nothing better, Zinshui asked another question he asked every day. In fact, you can tell with your eyes that Xian Ku's condition is not good, but S-class guys have strong vitality. As it is, as long as he doesn't get into a high-intensity battle, it won't be a problem to live for another 180 years. What we really need to worry about is not the daily routine, but the tasks in the reincarnation space. Now Zinku can only rely on resting on his laurels to avoid tasks. But this is not the way to go for a long time. There will come a time when there is no escaping it. Moreover, his physical condition is actually incurable. The best treatment method has to be found in the reincarnation space. This arduous task naturally fell on Xian Shui and others. Otherwise, Zinshui wouldn't have to work so hard every time to complete the task. As a result, haste makes waste. The harder she works, the fewer rewards she gets. Because there were many tasks that were not suitable for her, she still tried her best to do them. Sometimes it can be successful, but most of the time it is thankless. Alas, people are like this, care leads to chaos. Much better. Captain Xian's painful answer was the same, the most important thing now is to find the problem with this spacecraft as soon as possible. My feeling of unknown is even stronger. A middle-aged man dressed as a butler replied respectfully, yes. Sir. Technicians are working hard to crack the technology of Sheneng 2. After a pause, he added, yes, but the difficulty is too great. This spacecraft is too far beyond our technological level. I think it is difficult to find the problem from a technical level. You see. Alas, Xian sighed bitterly and said, it's my fault too. I shouldn't have drooled when I saw this spaceship. I just stole this spaceship from the world of reincarnation. Not to mention the backlash, this ship there seems to be a serious problem, but it's hurting you. Xian Shui quickly comforted his father, don't say that. The equipment of this Sheneng 2 is much better than that of the original Sheneng 1. You are also considering the success of this space immigration. Xi and Shui also sighed, if those people hadn't caused us to deviate from the route, Shannon 1 would no longer be able to support the next voyage, and you don't need to take such a big risk. No matter what we say now, everyone still has a chance. Oh, I'm just crying when I talk about it, so I won't talk anymore. You don't have to stay with me, just go do things quickly. There's no time to waste. Yes. Captain. Several people on the bridge saluted together and turned to leave. It should be clear to everyone after seeing this. The specific person in charge of the Shannon project to immigrate to extraterrestrial planets, which Xiaoming's parents participated in, was Xi Ku. As an S-class reincarnator, he is willing to leave Pangu planet to protect immigrants. This can be regarded as a sacrifice. But then again, the Shen family is just a small family on Pangu. The potential for development is no longer great. It might be better for the whole family to immigrate to another planet. If the immigration is successful, the Xin family will be the absolute leaders of the new human group, and maybe they can even ascend the throne and become emperors for fun. In case of failure, the Xin clan members are all reincarnators, so they can still survive in the reincarnation space. This can be regarded as a small gain. With S-level masters in charge, the success rate of the Shannon plan will be much higher. This is a balance reached by all parties. 3 years ago, all the Shen family's forces boarded the Shannon 1 immigration spacecraft. Depart for the Wolf 359 system. It carries about 1,300 natural people and about 2,700 clones, a total of more than 4,000 people. Every important position on the spacecraft is controlled by the Xin family. Immigration to an alien planet is a very difficult and arduous process. This team does not need a dishes manager, but a strong leadership group. The Shen family is the most suitable. If you want to build a new civilization, it is definitely not enough to have only clones, you must have natural people. Clones can play a supporting role. Xiaoming's parents are natural people, and in order to make them feel comfortable, there is a clone of Xiaoming. Why didn't Xiaoming himself be thrown in? Of course, it's because he is young. As a relatively good sample, Xiaoming has his clones in various galaxies. His personal value is obviously higher. So he was left in Pangu Star. Xiaoming's parents also know this. They are reluctant to let their baby son take risks. Of course, Xiaoming is nothing special. At the beginning, there were hundreds of thousands of excellent samples like Xiaoming. Now it is still increasing. The Shannon plan is for the future of mankind, not to put all eggs in one basket. Lest Pangu Star perish, mankind will disappear completely. Anyone with a normal mind would support such a plan. However, there are always some people in human society who just can't stand seeing others do well. They can't stand seeing the Shen family get such an opportunity. So they secretly tampered with the Shannon 1 spacecraft. It deviated from its route and headed for the unknown deep space. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 602. Since those people want to deal with the Xin family, they must do their job well. After changing the driving direction of Shannon 1, the computer system and navigation system in the spacecraft were destroyed. Even with the ability of Xin Ku, an S-class reincarnator, he could not correct it. This happened about a few months ago. Some people may think, why didn't those people just blow up the spacecraft, wouldn't that be more thorough? But this is the crux of the problem, and things like explosives are what everyone is most concerned about. Most people still hope that the Shannon plan will succeed. The use of explosives will be easily discovered. Moreover, something that can directly cause damage will also cause S-class reincarnators to feel uneasy. If you feel something is wrong before sailing, Shannon 1 will not set off at all. This plot could not be established. In their opinion, the best way is to let Shannon 1 get lost. Getting lost in the vast universe is billions of times more dangerous than getting lost in the desert and ocean. Although the Shannon 1 spacecraft has reserved more than twice the energy and supplies, once it loses its way, these supplies will only survive. If the spacecraft is lost in space, this level of threat will not be sensed by Xi and Ku. Because there is no direct threat to life. Even if they are lost, reincarnators can still live well. Even if the reincarnations of the Xi family work harder, they can provide some supplies for the humans in the spaceship. Let the entire spaceship become a burden to the Xi family. Not to mention development, just feeding these people and meeting their various needs is enough to make the Xi family miserable. Therefore, the purpose of those people was never to directly destroy the Shen family, but to make the Shen family sink completely in these troubles and never get ahead. And the effect of the first stage is indeed the same. When the immigration ship got lost, the shortcomings of the Shen family as a small family became apparent. Except for an S-level Xi and Ku, the Shen family doesn't even have an A-level reincarnation. There are only a few B-level masters. The talent reserve is seriously insufficient, and there is a shortage of talents in all aspects, especially professionals on the technology side. The Shen family simply cannot cope with the predicament that Shannon 1 is in. The whole family began to look for people or things that could help in the world of reincarnation. But in order to get the position of captain of Shannon 1, the Shen family has actually spent a lot of resources. Now if we want to bring people out from the reincarnation space, the resources at hand are obviously stretched. If a single plot character could solve this problem, that person would be ridiculously expensive. The Xi family definitely cannot afford the price. If we bring in a few more characters who are worse in the plot, we can barely cope with the resources. However, choosing people becomes very difficult. They must be chosen very carefully, and they must match each other perfectly. This is just daydreaming. It can be seen from the fact that both the father and daughter of the Shen family are gods of death, that their technological abilities are their shortcomings. Just when she was at a loss, suddenly, Xi and Ku randomly arrived in the reincarnation world of space passengers. The stage of this world is a huge immigration spaceship, the Avalon. Its technological level exceeds that of the new Han dynasty by many eras. Xi and Ku was fascinated when he first saw it. If this spacecraft is used to replace Shannon 1, all problems are solved. As an S-class reincarnator, he was a little impulsive. He spent a huge price to exchange the Avalon and Shannon 1. Zinshui also renamed Avalon Shannon 2. The only things that haven't been changed are the passengers inside and the dormant cabin where the passengers live. This is also normal. The game warehouse is a black technology obtained by New Han from the human race. Much better than the Avalon's. The Avalon sleep cabin is only for sleeping, but the passengers of Shannon 1 use a play cabin. There is a difference in the number of passengers on the other two ships. Shannon 1 carried 4,000 people, but Avalon had 5,000 passengers inside. The reincarnation space will not allow Xinka to smuggle thousands of people out. Although Xi and Ku wants to do this. If there wasn't a Shannon 1 available for exchange, Xi and Ku wouldn't have been able to steal the Avalon. But Shannon 1 is simply not enough to complete the scheduled mission of Avalon. These 5,000 people are almost certain to die. Xi and Ku paid a huge price for this. As an S-class almost immortal reincarnator, he was severely punished by the reincarnation space, which put him in a near-death situation. And there are even worse things waiting for him. There is something wrong with this ship. In the world of passengers, there was already something wrong with the spacecraft at the very beginning. Over time, its problems built up to the point where they could destroy an entire immigrant ship. In fact, Xi and Ku did something wrong at this time. He directly knocked out the male protagonist Jim Preston. Then the spacecraft was switched. He should have smuggled the male protagonist out. Jim is a machinist. It can help the Shen family control this spaceship. Even in the end, the problem of the spaceship was completely solved, and it was also thanks to the male protagonist Jim. Unfortunately, Xianku, who was busy stealing the ship, could no longer think clearly. Such a professional talent was missed. Of course, when the captain first stole the spacecraft, the problem with the spacecraft was not obvious, and it is not even obvious now. Everyone in the Shen family is excited about the new high-tech spaceship. Xianku also felt that the injuries she suffered were worth it. I feel so great. However, not long after, the captain felt a little uneasy. S-class reincarnationists are very powerful, and they rarely feel uneasy. Once they do, there must be something wrong. And for an S-class reincarnationist like Xianku who is in a dying state, his intuition is even more sensitive. Xianku felt that there was something wrong with the ship. And it was a serious problem. At his command, everyone in the Xian family began to work on it. But the trouble is that this ship is not from the right way after all, and has not been processed by the reincarnation space. The Xian family can't control this spaceship at all. The low-level intelligence systems on the ship, such as home furnishings, can still be used normally. But the main control system of this spaceship does not recognize that these people from the Xian family are the captain and crew of this ship. They are just ordinary passengers. In fact, if it weren't for the reincarnationists some means, they wouldn't even be treated as ordinary passengers. It is conceivable how difficult it is for them to conduct a comprehensive inspection of this spaceship. The work has not been progressing very quickly. The only thing that can be comforting is that the danger will not come immediately. Everything is still in time. Since his parents were on this spaceship, Xiaoming's intuition led him here. This was the abnormality that Xiaoming felt when he was teleported back from Qinglong Town. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 603. Although the Shen'an 1 spacecraft was launched 3 years ago, it has only just flown out of the range of the Ultra Cloud. It has not officially left the solar system yet. This speed is already quite good. The dispatched fleet that Xiaoming was in took 7 or 8 years to fly the same distance. This is because the dispatched fleet passed through 2 more massive planets on its path, and the slingshot effect was used many times to accelerate. Shen'an 2 was able to fly such a long distance in 3 years with only 1 slingshot effect. It can be seen how rapidly the new Han Kingdom has developed in the field of space over the years. There is an important difference between the clones on the Shen'an spacecraft and the clones in the Yanhuang 3-star system. They are all controlled by intelligent programs. Except for a very small number of privileged clones, other clones do not have open consciousness transmission channels. In other words, these people can only be controlled by intelligent programs, and others cannot control them. This is one of the conditions of the Xian family. If these 2,700 clones can be taken over by Pangustar at any time, then wouldn't the Xian family become a puppet? Then Xianku would not be willing to take on this matter. It is because of the possibility of becoming a local lord that the Xian family will accept this mission. Although these 4,000 passengers are also playing games, the games they play are different from the Magic Planet. Therefore, Xiaoming has never met his parents in the previous games. Now there may be a chance. However, he is still investigating the environment in the spaceship. Xiaoming's circle and mental scan quickly saw Xian Shui. From the real time, it has been more than half a month since the last time he met Xian Shui in the reincarnation space. If the time in the mission world is also counted, it means that they haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. I used to think that she was 6 or 7 points like Zhao Linger. So I have a good impression of her. After so long, Linger's appearance is a little vague in Xiaoming's mind. On the contrary, I think they are more similar. so I have a better impression of her. This is probably a kind of empathy effect of loving the house and the dog. It seems that the good impression of Linger Jr.'s sister at the beginning was transferred to Xin Shui. Of course, this is also because Xin Shui is a good person. Xiaoming looks at people's life energy first, then their faces. If a person has bad character, no matter how beautiful he is, he will be ignored by Xiaoming. Before he could think about how to meet and recognize Xin Shui, Xiaoming's circle met the captain of Shenan, Xin Ku. Unlike Xin Shui, Xin Ku immediately sensed Xiaoming's telepathic circle and mental scan. It's that master who has come. Please come out and talk. Xin Ku's heart was surging, but he remained calm on the surface. At a time when the Xin family was in internal and external troubles, the sudden appearance of a master was both a good thing and a danger. It's like being lost in a cemetery and someone suddenly talks to you. Xin Ku can no longer exert his S-level combat power. Now we can only hope that this master is not a bad person. As for him treating Xiaoming as a master, it's not surprising at all. The telepathic circle is fine, but Huang Xiaoming's 6th level primary mental power is really powerful. The mental power of the Zerg will produce the seemingly strong effect. The other party was polite, but Xiaoming didn't dare to be arrogant, so as not to be embarrassed when he met Xin Shui in the future. He immediately condensed a shadow clone in front of Xin Ku. He bowed deeply and said, "Senior, you are polite. I am here to greet you. I have a nickname called the Leader, you may have heard of it." "Oh? So you are the leader mentioned by Shui. She has a good impression of you. But, why are you here?" Xin Ku was relieved when he heard this nickname. Since he is someone he knows, things will be much easier. If it weren't for Xin Ku's current poor condition, he would have taken action when he saw that there was suddenly an extra person on his spaceship. In any case, he should control himself first. But now he can only slowly talk. Xiaoming can also feel that Xin Ku is in a very bad state. However, S-level masters are always worthy of respect. No matter what the state is. What's more, the other party doesn't look like a bad person. Generally speaking, it is not easy for Xiaoming to see through the life energy of A-level and S-level masters. Especially for the characters in the plot, the reincarnations may not be able to hide themselves very well. Xin Ku, who was seriously injured and dying at the moment, was an exception. He no longer had the ability to hide himself in front of Xiaoming. If Xiaoming came to him in person, he might have to consider whether to fight hard. But now the person in front of him was a shadow clone with D-level strength. It would be useless to hit him. Instead, he would provoke a strong enemy. He could only deal with his moves. Xiaoming saw clearly what Xin Ku was like. Although he seemed to have done something bad recently, there was a sense of sin surrounding him. But he was still not a bad person. What he did should have been hard for him, and he paid a huge price. This complex emotion made his life energy seem a little confused. In short, Xiaoming didn't think he was a bad person. But since it was the first time they met, it was okay to be polite, but forget about being frank. Xiaoming didn't dare to tell the strange things he encountered. He just scratched his head and said, "I don't know what's going on. I picked up an object, fiddled with it with my supernatural energy, and ended up here." Xin Ku squinted his eyes. "Damn, you must be kidding me. You traveled through time just by picking up something. Do you think you are writing a novel?" But since the leader said so, it is not polite to directly say that he is lying. It is normal to only say 30% of the words when you first meet. Since he is on his ship, he probably can't get off. One more person means more strength. I should tell him about his situation. Therefore, the captain briefly introduced the Sheneng plan, the origin of Sheneng 2, and the potential dangers. He did not even hide the fact that he was seriously injured. There is no way to hide this. Anyone who sees his current appearance will know that he is seriously injured. It is better to say it openly. Master, little brother, your circle is very powerful. Sheneng Tu is in need of someone with strong reconnaissance ability like you. Xianku said directly, I have an unwelcome request. Can you please check this spaceship thoroughly to see if there is any problem? Okay. Since I'm already on the pirate ship, I will do my best. I will go back and inform the main body. After the shadow clone said this, it cancelled its own existence. Huang Xiaoming's circle and scanning map actually showed the specific structure of the spacecraft clearly. However, Xiaoming's professional knowledge was not enough to see where the problem was. The physical structure of the hull is still very good. If there is a problem, it is probably in the software, right? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 604. After chatting with the captain and the spacecraft had also conducted reconnaissance, Huang Xiaoming turned his attention back to the replica. Leave some time for the father and daughter of the Shen family to communicate. I believe that due to the appearance of Xiaoming, the father and daughter should have a lot to say. Let's call the replica on Sheneng Tu Xiaoming. Xiaoming has never had the opportunity to control this replica before. Because there is no corresponding consciousness transmission channel at all. This time, after Huang Xiaoming entered Xiaoming's body by chance, he found that he could not leave at will. Xiaoming now has 3 souls in their own bodies, and it is difficult to switch them again. And Xiaoming dare not try it easily. If Green Xiaoming leaves the body of the Insect King, it is difficult to predict what will happen. This is the same for Huang Xiaoming. For safety reasons, let's stay in their own bodies for the time being. According to Xiaoming's understanding, the intelligent program of the replica can also play games. It's just that I don't know what games the replicas on the Sheneng spacecraft play, so I can find out. Xiaoming focused his attention on the connection between the game characters, and the situation in front of him changed immediately. Xiaoming's first impression of this game was very different from the Magic Planet. The character was in a half-new thatched house. It was getting dark, and he probably went home to rest. He was the only one in the house in the game, and it seemed that his parents probably did not enter the same game. That was right, there was still some difference between the intelligent program and the real person. It was easy to be exposed if they had too much contact. Indeed, when Xiaoming's parents first participated in the Sheneng project, they knew that their son did not participate in the project. However, after the project started, their memories would be modified a little bit, making them think that their son also came with them. This was to test whether the intelligent program in the replica body simulated Xiaoming. Therefore, they could not meet at the beginning. At this time, the parents still had a deep impression of Xiaoming, and the intelligent program would easily be exposed. Separate them in the early stage, and everyone played their own games. After a few years, more than 10 years, or even decades, the family ended their hibernation. At that time, Xiaoming's parents probably didn't have a clear impression of their son. The intelligent program can also better pretend to be Xiaoming. Xiaoming's character is wearing patched clothes, not much better than a beggar. The bed in the room is a pile of straw, with a tattered fur on it. It is made of several pieces of animal skins. There are 2 wooden blocks at home, which are probably tables and chairs. I am sitting on the small wooden block. On the big one is a broken porcelain bowl that has been licked clean and a rusty short knife. This is too poor. It is indeed an intelligent program that simulates myself. Not diligent at all. It has come to this point. At this moment, with a ding-dong sound, the game system prompt came. Dear player Zhang Xiaoming, you have obtained a broken intelligent program, please check it. In addition, choosing the right secret realm will make your game more exciting. Thank you for your participation. What a familiar feeling. More than a month ago, when I suddenly possessed the clone Xiaoming, I crashed the intelligent program that controlled Xiaoming at that time. Later, the nine-tailed fox repaired the crashed program and gave it to me. Then there was the A-level intelligent program that Xiaoming called Xiaoer. This time, I forcibly possessed Xiaoming, and naturally crashed Xiaoming's original program. However, this time the game system was not familiar with Xiaoming, and did not repair it, but directly gave him the broken intelligent program. According to the order, it should be called Xiaoluer. In the past 3 years, Xiaoluer has not been able to use this duplicate body because he has been in the game cabin. It should only operate the game character. It can also be crashed like this, the quality is not up to standard. Xiaoming usually complains while checking the game records. This is the better point in the game. Almost everything is recorded. First of all, the name of the game is there. Xiaoming took a look, wow, what a coincidence. This game is actually called The Legend of the Two Dragons of the Tang Dynasty. There is also a large secret realm of the Legend of the Two Dragons of the Tang Dynasty in the Magic Planet. Xiaoming's character in the game is also called Zhang Xiaoming, and he looks similar. The place where he is the famous Weigong village. Just looking at his empty house, you can tell that Xiaoming is not doing well in Weigong village. The intelligent program simulated Xiaoming's timid and lazy character, and he did not practice martial arts well. In the mountain village, martial arts represent status. Xiaoming's martial arts did not improve, so he was still the same after 3 years. Now he can get a bite of food, which is because there is still some humanity in the mountain village. Otherwise, he would have been abandoned long ago. In fact, if Xiaoming really reached such a difficult time, he would definitely work hard. Most people would be more diligent at this level. But the intelligent program is more rigid and will not be flexible. It is determined to stick to Xiaoming's laziness to the end. Xiaoming is the lowest level soldier in Weigong village, not even as good as a chores. At least he has a job and can get a salary. Xiaoming can only get 2 meals a day. Xiaoming's leader's leader, the famous leader above him is called Wangbodang. He is also a famous general in the Sui and Tang dynasties. Unfortunately, Xiaoming is not familiar with this person. This name has a lot of flaws, and it always sounds like a bastard. This makes Xiaoming wonder if his parents don't like him. They actually gave him such a name. Xiaoming's own name is just random, and there is no malice. Wangbodang is even worse than himself, and Xiaoming suddenly has a little sympathy for him. Zhang Xiaoming's brain circuit is also ridiculous. I have to say that the intelligent program is too embarrassing for Xiaoming. Now that the real body has come, the future will definitely be very different. While thinking, Xiaoming began to try to mobilize supernatural energy, and then he was shocked. What the hell, why can't any supernatural energy be mobilized? Even the source energy can't be mobilized. No wonder it feels that this game is completely different from Magic Planet. It turns out that the problem lies here. This game is not a black technology game like Magic Planet. It is actually an ordinary online game. Of course, Xiaoming felt it carefully and found that it was not that there was no energy at all, but that each energy was very weak. It looks ordinary and not very thorough. A small amount of supernatural energy flowing in the body can indeed play a role in strengthening the body. But it is not enough to be exerted on the outside. What is going on? In addition, what is the secret realm mentioned in the system prompt just now? It seems that I should go and see it. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 605. So that's how it is the three Xiaoming sighed almost at the same time. The time was the evening of July 12, 6666 in the Pangu calendar. Let's start with the original Yin Xiaoming. After Huang Xiaoming was teleported to Shenan number 2, Yin Xiaoming found that the source energy of the blue cactus had been consumed. Feeling the speed of this automatic recovery, it is estimated that it will not be usable in 3 or 5 days. In fact, Xiaoming still doesn't know what this thing is. It doesn't make sense that I don't understand my own abilities, right? So Yin Xiaoming imagined that his soul went deep into the cactus, trying to feel everything about it. Now that he is in the depths of his soul, there should be no taboos, but just when Yin Xiaoming's soul was about to overlap with the blue cactus, a strong sense of crisis suddenly surged in his heart, scaring Yin Xiaoming to run away and return directly to the real world. Zhang Xiaoming collapsed on the sofa, still in shock. He was sweating all over, and his heart was pounding almost out of his chest. It was so scary. I don't know what the devil was with this kid just now. That's source energy. Can you feel it deeply at will? If Xiaoming didn't escape in time, he would probably be assimilated by the essence of source energy and completely lose himself. The other two souls would also be implicated and finished together. After being assimilated by source energy, everything is unknown, but it doesn't necessarily mean death. But with Xiaoming's current cognition, he is definitely unwilling to try. The 3 source energy trees that Xiaoming had before were all rooted deep in Xiaoming's soul. Xiaoming never had this idea, I want to overlap with the source energy tree and feel it deeply. This is because the source energy tree is closely integrated with him, and subconsciously prevents him from such suicidal behavior. The newly obtained cactus is not a source energy seed, but just an ability, a permission of a certain source energy. It played its normal role. It has a strong attraction for those who are close to the essence of source energy. Xiaoming was almost sucked in. This is a test and an opportunity. However, Xiaoming now will definitely not be able to pass this test. Fortunately, Xiaoming's strong intuition played a role in time, allowing him to get out of danger. There must be good fortune after surviving a great disaster. Yin Xiaoming, who calmed down, found that the scene just now was not without gain. At the moment when the soul and the blue cactus were in close contact, some useful information was obtained. Blue source energy is indeed good at space travel. At that moment just now, Xiaoming seemed to see that the blue source energy has a network structure that spreads across a huge universe. It is trillions of times larger than the universe observed by humans. Moreover, blue source energy allows any species to use the network, as long as the other party touches the node of the network. Xiaoming has some understanding. The teleportation array used to return to Pangu Star from Qinglong Town before is actually one of the network nodes of blue source energy. Even when Xiaoming teleported to the reincarnation space, he used this network. Of course, since the reincarnationists could not access the nodes, the space still took some effort. Xiaoming thought, the reincarnation space is really fun. Don't you have green source energy? Why do you use other people's things? Have you paid the patent fee? Have you paid the rent? His complaints were actually just for nothing. The relationship between the reincarnation space and the blue network was not his turn to worry about. Xiaoming just felt that the reincarnation space was not as high-end and awesome as he felt before. It turned out that he also had to rely on other people's means. And Huang Xiaoming's behavior of being teleported to Sheneng number 2 was not actually a normal transmission of the blue network. They didn't leave the solar system, and strictly speaking, they were still in the same node of the network. They were not far apart. It was equivalent to being at different platforms of the same train station, or different boarding gates at the same airport. When Xiaoming just interacted with the adventure of the blue cactus, he had a mobile node that would follow him everywhere. As long as there is enough source energy and a designated destination, he can teleport anywhere and at any time. In fact, the source energy contained in this blue cactus is too little to form a real node. Xiaoming forcibly activated the function of teleportation in the node because he sensed the crisis faced by his parents. And this time it was not the real body that was teleported, but the soul of Huang Xiaoming was teleported to the body of the replica Xiaoming on the Sheneng. This is a very simple and irregular teleportation behavior. The risk is not small, so I dare not do it again. Originally, Xiaoming probably had to collect one or two similar broken treasures to form a stable node. It is conceivable that it would be a relatively powerful teleportation ability. However, due to his previous adventure, some side effects were brought about. This mobile node was stabilized by Xiaoming in advance. But it was also obviously malnourished. At present, the mobile node represented by this blue cactus has not been connected to the cosmic network of blue source energy. For the time being, it can be realized that the node is the center and the space teleportation is within a range of 2 light-years. Since the node is hidden deep in Xiaoming's soul, all 3 Xiaomings can use this transmission ability. However, before using it, you must wait for the blue source energy to recover to full value, and each use will consume the blue source energy. Therefore, it cannot be used continuously. In addition, the size and mass of the objects being transported are also limited. In Xiaoming's opinion, it can only transport objects that are no larger than an elevator and no heavier than 300 kilograms. To be honest, this ability is not very useful at present. Neither Xiaoming himself nor Xiaoming on Sheneng needs this kind of transport. This skill is still useful for the Zerg King Green Xiaoming. The Zerg often need to march through wormholes. Green Xiaoming can first teleport the Zerg subordinates who have been incorporated into his spiritual kingdom to a place 2 light-years away. Then, through the spiritual connection between himself and this subordinate, he activates the wormhole skill. In this way, he can march 2 light-years at a time. It takes many years for the Zerg troops to fly such a long distance normally. It seems to be a very useful skill. However, the Zerg King does not have this need at present, and 2 light-years will be far out of the sheltered area. No. Xiaoming also wants to try to use less source energy and teleport a shorter distance. For example, from the Earth to the Moon. However, this requirement will not be recognized by the mobile node. The transmission carried out by the blue node must be on an astronomical scale. The shortest distance must be from Pangu star to Mars. The source energy consumed is also mainly to ensure safety after the transmission. In other words, the destination after the transmission must be temporarily safe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 606. After Yin Xiaoming expressed satisfaction with his new abilities, he went to the Hunter's secret realm to practice with his master Netero. Next, let's see what Green Xiaoming found. Yesterday morning, the Zerg King received information from other overlords about the location of an asteroid cluster suitable for nesting. Green Xiaoming immediately led the Zerg army there, and the reconnaissance troops also headed in that direction. After less than 2 days of marching, the flying dragon responsible for reconnaissance first arrived near the asteroid cluster. The scan map can already cover the target area. Xiaoming understood it at a glance. No wonder other overlords told him about this location. It turned out that this place already had an owner. There was a huge space creature living in that asteroid cluster. It looked like a big centipede. It was tens of kilometers long and was resting on the largest asteroid in the cluster. It probably covered 1/10 of the surface of the asteroid. This thing showed in Xiaoming's scan map that it was not a big threat to Xiaoming. Apart from the planet-level Azure Dragon in the Azure Dragon division, Xiaoming had never encountered such a large creature. The scan showed that it was not very threatening, which meant that its attacks could not hurt the Insect King. But it was hard to say whether Xiaoming could hurt such a large creature. While the army was still on the march, Xiaoming thought that he could use courtesy before force. Let's communicate first. He ordered the scouting dragon not to get closer. From a distance, Xiaoming sent a request for mental communication to the centipede through the dragon. However, this big centipede seemed to have a brain problem. Its mental power was not weak, but it was extremely chaotic, and it directly ignored Xiaoming's mental communication. Xiaoming found that this guy probably didn't have a healthy soul. It seemed that only animal instincts were left, like a fool. Since there was no communication, even the Zerg's skills of subjugation could not be used on it. Although this guy was stupid, his mental power was strong and he could not be subjugated at all. Now he could only fight. Xiaoming opened a wormhole between himself and the scouting dragon. Through this wormhole, Xiaoming sent out the moon-shooting arrow skill. This skill is the super long-range attack skill of Zhangzhong, the personal guard. It was recorded by Xiaoming in the Insect General Star record. Zhangzhong is still recovering from his injuries and has no power to launch an attack. When the moon-shooting arrow hit the centipede, its body swayed and it seemed to feel pain. Then, like an octopus spraying ink, it released a large amount of purple mist in a few seconds to cover its own existence. And it covered this asteroid community. This mist is so powerful that it even blocked the mental scan of the Insect King. Xiaoming lost the opponent's trace in an instant. Now he can't attack. Xiaoming quickly ordered the flying dragon to fly farther and continue to observe. Should we wait until the Zerg army arrives before killing in? What if this mist is poisonous? This centipede can live well in the sheltered area, so it should have some means. You know, it is not the first non-Zerg creature Xiaoming has seen in the sheltered area. In fact, since approaching the middle of the sheltered zone, Xiaoming can feel that there are all kinds of non-Zerg life in the sheltered zone. They are almost all very small, just bacteria-level creatures. Ordinary people can't see them at all. But these space bacteria can get nutrition from the Zerg mist and live very well. Xiaoming also saw a slightly larger space creature, about the size of a grain of rice. There is no specific shape, like a small ball of plasticine. They can not only absorb Zerg mist, but also eat some space bacteria. Of course, the temperature in the sheltered zone is much higher than that of a vacuum, but it is also very cold. The activities of these space bacteria and plasticine are extremely slow. It takes more than 30 hours for space plasticine to eat a bacterium. It is unknown how long it will take to completely digest it. And they obviously have no ability to fly by themselves, but just drift with the flow of Zerg mist. Xiaoming originally expected to see larger and larger space creatures, but he didn't expect to see such a big one all of a sudden. It makes people unprepared. The Insect King made several hand seals in succession and created 20 shadow clones of the Insect King. Lu Xiaoming was reluctant to take risks with the Zerg soldiers, so he let the shadow clones do this job. The 20 shadow clones passed through the wormhole and flew into the mist sprayed by the big centipede. As expected, this mist is poisonous, but the poison is completely ineffective against pure energy bodies like shadow clones. The Insect King's intuition is that this poison seems to be specially produced for the Zerg. It is extremely harmful to the Zerg. With this mist protection, the Zerg will not be able to deal with it. This is the so-called survival of the fittest, right? In order to allow the shadow clones to move freely in the mist, the Insect King took the initiative to pass through the wormhole. He stood on the back of the scout dragon. In this way, his circle can cover the asteroid community. Although the mist isolates the Zerg scanning map, it has no blocking effect on the mind ability circle. With UnlimitedFlow's reconnaissance and the coordination of the spiritual realm, the shadow clones can surround the big centipede from all directions. It can be seen that Xiaoming's previous moon-shooting arrow did hurt it, but the injury was not serious, and in this mist, the centipede was still slowly recovering. Through the circle, Xiaoming had a clearer feeling about this guy. He clearly felt the traces of spiritual energy on it. Could it be that the reincarnation space came here to recruit reincarnators? A closer look revealed that there was indeed a reincarnation ring on one of the centipede's legs. No way. Could a fool also be chosen by the reincarnation space? No, Could it be that? Xiaoming suddenly had an idea and thought of a possibility. This centipede should have been a very intelligent life form. After being chosen by the reincarnation space, it is very likely that it took the route of strengthening as a demon cultivator. A demon with successful cultivation can choose to develop in the direction of gigantism. Xiaoming has seen many large demons in the fairy sword world. Of course, I have never seen such a big one, let alone one as big as a blue dragon. The body of the centipede may have become so huge after it became a demon cultivator. Later, it is estimated that something went wrong in its cultivation, and its brain was damaged. This is why it has become the state of a fool now. The more Xiaoming thought about this conjecture, the more likely it was to be true. He also felt that the reincarnation space was quite humane. This guy was dumbfounded that the reincarnation ring was not taken back. Now he, a VIP, had to face such a difficult guy. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 607. 20 Level 3 Intermediate Shadow Clones are useless in front of such a behemoth. The first few were easily dealt with by the centipede. This guy's physical attributes are estimated to be above level 6, and his vitality is even stronger. It's just that his brain is not very good. It will not take the initiative to attack. Only when the shadow clones get close, it will twist its body and knock the shadow clones to death one by one. No mental abilities are used. Xiaoming commanded the remaining dozen clones to use self-destruction to deal with it, but it made it howl several times and suffered some minor injuries. There is no air in the sheltered area to transmit sound, and the Zerg fog does not have the function of transmitting sound waves. The so-called howling is completely subjective conjecture by Green Xiaoming based on its ecstatic posture with its mouth wide open and its body shaking. As time passed, the subordinates of the Insect King also teleported through the wormhole and lined up densely around Xiaoming. Now there are thousands of insects. Xiaoming has not let Queen 001 lay eggs yet. He plans to wait until he has a nest. Let's fatten her up first. Seeing that there seems to be a battle to fight, many Zergs are very excited and eager to try. However, Xiaoming has not yet issued the order for a general attack. Even if the individual strength is not enough, so many Zerg armies rush forward, and they will definitely win even if they suffer some losses. But this loss is bound to be large, and Xiaoming is reluctant to do it. We have so many abilities, there are always other ways. In the dark, Xiaoming has this feeling. Let's think about it for a while. At the same time, Green Xiaoming's spirit is still wandering in the Zerg Spirit Sea, and there are still 2 skills to learn. Maybe he will encounter a skill that can solve the current problem. Green Xiaoming is thinking hard. Huang Xiaoming, who is playing games on Sheneng 2, also sighed, so that's it? In the past, Xiaoming was controlled by an intelligent program, and the intelligent program did not have the qualifications to open the secret realm. It was not until Huang Xiaoming's soul arrived that he had the qualifications. That's why the system will prompt him to open the secret realm now. After Xiaoming casually clicked on the list of secret realms, he saw 2 lines of gilded characters. Flying snow and shooting white deer in the sky, laughing at the book of the hero and leaning on the green mandarin duck. These 14 secret realms should be known to all Chinese people. Not to mention Chinese people, even foreigners on Pangostar are familiar with these 14 masterpieces. Don't forget that the culture of Pangostar is dominated by China. However, although there are 14 books on the surface, most of them are dim in font. In other words, they cannot be selected. For the time being, there are only a few that can be selected, Lian, Bai, and Yuan. They are all medium and short works. This seems to be more clear. From the main game of the Legend of the Twin Dragons of the Tang Dynasty to these 14 secret realms. The game played by Sheneng No. 2 is obviously a martial arts route. No wonder the name of this online game is called Martial Arts Planet. This is also a disguised encouragement for these 4,000 immigrants to exercise well. Good health is still very important for immigration work. Xiaoming guessed that these games are probably the early versions of Magic Planet, used for testing. It is obvious that there is no permission to use the Fuxican controlled by the nine-tailed fox in this game. As a result, the supernatural power in this game is very weak, and it can only help players to practice martial arts. This is also a helpless choice. There is no level and experience value display in the main game, and it is entirely up to the player's own ability to exert the physical properties of the character. 3 years after the voyage, just over a month ago, the Magic Planet game came out, and it stands to reason that Shannon should also upgrade the game. There is definitely no problem in technology. Even the Yanhuang 3-star system on the other side of the time and space gate can popularize the game. Shannon has not left the solar system yet, how can it not be popularized? But for some reason, the New Han Kingdom did not do this. Maybe it is to strengthen the trunk and weaken the branches. Xiaoming is not interested in such political issues. As for how to play this game without supernatural energy, he thought of an idea. I remember that in the game of Magic Planet, when Xiaoming just opened the secret realm of the legend of the two dragons of the Tang dynasty, he had learned 3 sets of patterns of Changshengju. At that time, he combined these 3 patterns with the basic Qi training formula to create 3 kinds of Changsheng Qi training formula. 3 Xiaomings practiced them respectively. Now it seems that it can be reversed. There is no spiritual energy in the game of Shenanggeo, and Xiaoming's Guangmingding cannot be opened, so it is impossible to practice spiritual energy. Even if you practice it, the game will not recognize it. Instead, you should practice martial arts in the game. Xiaoming started to run the Changshengju in the character's body. In fact, Xiaoming was already very familiar with the route of exercise, and he easily activated the Changshengju without much effort. The character's body began to produce true qi continuously. And in reality, Xiaoming's body also produced true qi. Xiaoming had an idea, and the other 2 souls also practiced the Changshengju. A certain amount of true qi was also produced in the bodies of Xiaoming's body and the Insect King. These true qi are not even icing on the cake for the body and the Insect King. However, the Changshengju echo each other, can promote each other's growth, and can even complement each other. With Xiaoming's integrated soul as a bridge, Huang Xiaoming instantly possessed 3 times the true qi and at least 7 times the cultivation speed. At the same time, this situation will also be reflected in the characters in the game. This game does not recognize any supernatural energy, only the true qi internal force. At this rate, Xiaoming believes that his internal strength will soon surpass the 2 protagonists of this world, Cao Zhong and Su Xiling. Yes. Although there is no chance to see the strange book The Legend of the Two Dragons of the Tang Dynasty, Xiaoming's shadow clones have not gained nothing from exploring the secret realm. At least the identities of the 2 protagonists have been discovered and confirmed. These 2 also practice the longevity secret. It's just that their practice is different from Xiaoming's. After practicing the true qi for a while, Huang Xiaoming thought about it and decided to leave the game first. I will play in the secret realm here later. Now I will go to see the father and daughter of the Shen family. The passengers on the Sheneng 2 spacecraft, whether they are natural people or clones, are actually playing games in hibernation. They are soaking in the game cabin all day. Now it's not time at all, the system does not allow players to leave the game. People lying in the game cabin can do nothing but play games. But how can this little thing be difficult for Xiaoming? Just split a few shadow clones, operate outside the game cabin, and successfully lift the hibernation state and open the cabin cover. Xiaoming found that the quality of this body was really not good. If it hadn't been for the longevity technique just now, it would not even be at the first level. Don't say anything, first give yourself 3 bottles of life essence. And all the super energy seeds that you have learned. Then build a yellow supernatural energy network. This strengthening of yourself was very smooth. In less than 20 minutes, Xiaoming's physique has reached the primary level of the third level, and it is about to catch up with Xiaoming's original body. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 608. All 14 secret realms of martial arts planet are familiar to everyone. This is also giving players a golden finger and hope. The audience of this game is only on Chenan number 2, with a total of more than 4,000 people. Among them, clones can only play the main game, The Legend of the Twin Dragons of the Tang Dynasty, and cannot enter the secret realm. So there are only more than 1,000 players in the secret realm. From the beginning, this game lacks a huge player base like Magic Planet. And most of these people are as old as Xiaoming's parents. There are very few real young people. In other words, there is also a lack of professional players with good game skills. So we have to open plugins for players in this way. Of course, even if the background of the secret realm is familiar to players. But it is still hard to say whether it can open the situation. Because Martial Arts Planet is a game, many things have strict prerequisites. For example, the sword tomb of Dugukaiubai outside Xiangyang City in The Legend of the Condor Heroes. That is Yanguo's exclusive place. Before Yanguo entered, players basically couldn't find it. Even the sword tomb does not exist in the secret realm of The Legend of the Condor Heroes. Unless the player has a status and position no less than Yanguo in the Condor Heroes, he still has to go through the Condor. The player is not Yanguo, and there is no chance to rescue the Condor, and the Condor will not be friendly to the player. Basically, no one is the opponent of the Condor in the early stage, and you can't enter the sword tomb. When the player can beat the Condor, then it doesn't matter whether Dugukaiubai's sword tomb is entered or not. The player's strength is strong enough. Besides, all players know what is written on the sword tomb. Even Yanguo's later training method is also something everyone knows. You can practice according to this method without finding the sword tomb. But the player does not have the protection of the protagonist. If you really go to the rapids to practice, you will probably die or be disabled. Not to mention practicing under the sea. No zo no die why you try. There are also snake blood that Guojing once drank, the 9 yang magic skills and 9 yin manuals obtained by Zhangwuji, and so on. In short, if the player wants to have an adventure, he must meet the conditions. And the process of meeting the conditions requires great effort. If you are willing to work hard, the so-called adventure is actually very normal, it's just that God rewards hard work. Players who have played the game for 3 years have more or less understood this truth. However, Xiaoming has not chosen the secret realm yet, nor has he met any players. These things will be discussed later. In fact, it is not certain whether Huang Xiaoming will play the game of Wuxia Planet in the future. Huang Xiaoming can go to Guangmingding and play his own magic planet. At least his ability will not be restricted. To be honest, Xiaoming is used to putting daily necessities in Guangmingding. It is very inconvenient that Guangmingding cannot be opened in Wuxia Planet. However, Xiaoming also wants to find his parents in the secret realm. I guess he still has to go in. Xiaoming can also wake up his parents outside. Although they are dormant in the game cabin, they are also receiving treatment and recuperation. But in this regard, Xiaoming himself is also a master. The life essence and life-saving golden needles are not covered. It is guaranteed to take good care of his parents' bodies. What really made Xiaoming hesitate was that once he woke up his parents, he would expose his weakness in front of the Shen family. What if the other party threatened Xiaoming's parents? It would be better to conceal this matter now while the other party does not know his exact identity. Dad and mom can also be safer. No, there is a safer way. Xiaoming suddenly came to his senses and hurriedly and carefully moved his parents' game cabins into his own Guangmingding. At this time, because of the enemy encountered in the Chu galaxy. Xiao Xiao'er and Mao Mo'er were also driven back to Guangmingding. Mao Mo'er turned into a server and was playing games with Xiao Xiao'er. At the same time, his sister Xiao Jing'er was also playing games. Wen Ji didn't know where he went, but he was not in Guangmingding. Xiao Ming discovered the problem. Why is there only his own clone on Sheneng 2, but not Xia Jinger's? This doesn't seem to make sense, right? But now is not the time to investigate. In fact, Xiao Ming doesn't know who to ask about this matter. Is it necessary to consult the government specifically for this? But there was no way to ask. Because according to the normal procedure, Xiao Ming should not know these things. Besides, although he had a clone, his sister Xiao Jing'er might not be chosen. If she didn't have a clone, of course there would be no arrangement. The game of his parents was more important, so Xiao Ming arranged for Mao Mao to take over his parents' game cabin. Let his parents sleep for the time being. As for the game, Xiao Ming asked Mao Mao to extend an internet cable and connect it to his game cabin to learn. Mao Mao could even simulate the server of the magic planet. The martial arts planet was just a piece of cake. The host of this game was far less powerful than Mao Mao. It didn't take long for Mao Mao to master all the information. After all, it was just a server that supported 4,000 players. And it was not an advanced artificial intelligence. How could it be Mao Mao's opponent? It was completely conquered in a few minutes. Now not only can his parents continue to play the martial arts planet, but Xiao Ming and his friends also have more optional items. When Xiao Ming and brother Wen are bragging and chatting, they often say, if they were someone in the book, they would do this and that. That's really high spirits. Now the opportunity is in front of him. Xiao Ming thinks that brother Wen will definitely go into play. He and his sister probably can't resist this temptation. Xiao Ming doesn't plan to wake up his parents for the time being. If he wakes them up, they will probably want to go out for a walk. But whether it is Pangu Star, Sheneng 2 spacecraft, or even Chu Galaxy, it is not a suitable place for them to take a walk for the time being. Let them play games first, which will make Xiao Ming feel more at ease. In the future, when they are stronger, consider waking them up. After packing up all this, Xiao Ming left the room and went to the bridge. This time he must come forward in person, and it would be too rude to send a clone. After walking in the spaceship for a while, Xi and Shui came over on a hovercraft. The Xi and family's reaction was still very quick. Seeing Xiao Ming from a distance, Xi and Shui's eyes smiled. Xiao Ming looked at her slightly chaotic life energy and knew that she might have misunderstood something. As expected, when they got there, Xi and Shui's first words were, "Great, Master. You've even come to the Sheneng spaceship. Aren't you afraid that I won't allow you to stay?" This was a huge misunderstanding. She actually thought that Xiao Ming came to the Sheneng 2 spaceship just to pursue her. The girl's heart was beating like a deer at this moment. She was a little surprised, a little hesitant, and more of a loss. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 609. The Xian family was originally a small to medium-sized family. On average, there is an A-level reincarnationist as the head of each generation, which is considered good. The head of this generation, Xian Ku, suddenly broke out many years ago. Because he dared to take risks, he seized the opportunity to reach the S level in one fell swoop. The family status also rose with it. Of course, due to the lack of original accumulation, the expansion of the family could not keep up with the strength of the head of the family. Originally, after decades or hundreds of years of slow development, the Xian family could reach the top level of medium-sized families. But Xiao He is also Xiao He's success and failure. Xianku chose to take risks again. He took on the task of the specific executor of the Sheneng plan. This is a plan to ascend to heaven in one step. As a result, Murphy showed his power, and something really went wrong in the mission. Xianku was seriously injured and lost most of the deterrent power of the S-level reincarnationist. The talent reserve of the Xian family is not enough, which made the Xian family a little anxious this time. If it is not handled well, it may even be doomed. Now 35 years old, Xian Shui has been the focus of the family's training since childhood, and one of the strong contenders for the next head of the family. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also very strong. A 35-year-old B-level master is definitely rare. Xiaoming's age on the household registration is only 2 years older than her. The actual age difference is 15 years more. However, both of them are successful reincarnations. They look about 20 years old. For 30 years, Zinshui has been developing smoothly. Unexpectedly, the Xian family suddenly fell into trouble, and she was also dragged down. At this time, she must be strong enough to stabilize people's hearts. The burden of the entire Xian family is on her shoulders. However, God knows that she is not such a strong character. Now she is completely biting the bullet. Not every strong girl must be a strong woman. How many times in the middle of the night, she hopes that a Prince Charming will come down from the sky to help her solve all problems. Even if it is a Tang monk riding a white horse, she will accept it. Before the third reincarnation mission, she met Zhang Xiaoming, a reincarnation nicknamed the Leader, in the alien world of Mars. At that time, she thought he was a talent. At the beginning, she just wanted to cooperate for a while and observe him, and maybe recruit him in the future. The Xian family did not arrange all people on Sheneng 2. Some were left on Pangustar just in case. Eggs cannot be put in one basket. In the future, if the Sheneng plan develops smoothly, it is entirely possible to send the remaining personnel back through the reincarnation space. Later, Xiaoming's hacker energy block caught her attention. This thing is obviously on the technology side, which means that the leader may be good at technology. The dilemma of Sheneng 2 needs the help of talents on the technology side. It was just the first meeting at that time, and they didn't know each other yet, and it would take some time to observe. Then, Xiaoming's shadow clone took great care of Zinshui on Mars. This made Zinshui, who had been almost suffocated by the burden of the family, feel warm for a rare time. At this time, Zinshui only had a slight liking for Xiaoming. Later, there was no contact. Who would have thought that this person suddenly appeared again and ran to their own spaceship? Just now, my father told her, the leader you mentioned before is really a master. Now he has run to our spaceship. Could he be chasing you? Xianku's last words were mostly joking. However, the speaker was unintentional, but the listener was intentional. When the words reached Xian Shui's ears, the meaning changed. And the more you think about it, the more likely it is. Although Zhang Xiaoming has recently become a celebrity in the top circle of Pangustar. However, the Xian family has not yet entered the circle and is not qualified to know such things. Xian Shui also doesn't know the true identity of the leader, let alone his parents are in the Sheneng plan. So the leader suddenly appeared on the spaceship, and the only possibility she could think of was that he spent a lot of money in the reincarnation space to chase her. Girls are always happy when they are chased by others. Especially a reincarnation with outstanding strength, chasing after him so wholeheartedly. For a moment, she was moved to death. She actually just liked Xiaoming, and now she didn't know what to do. At this moment, what she was thinking was that if this leader could really solve the problem of the Xian family, then she could give him a chance. What a proud girl. Xiaoming looked at her chaotic life energy and didn't know what to say. It would be too hurtful to tell the truth immediately. And it would also expose his own strength. This time, Huang Xiaoming's soul was teleported over, occupied the body of the replica, and hid his parents' game warehouse. This kind of thing is difficult to explain clearly. Besides, Xiaoming neither wants to reveal his abilities nor to make up lies. Especially although the S-level Xianku was injured, his vision is still there. Ordinary lies can't fool him. Xiaoming simply didn't say anything and let them guess. As for the misunderstanding between him and Xian Shui, Xiaoming is not too worried. As long as his otaku attributes are normal, Xian Shui will definitely be a good friend in the future. This useless guy is not ashamed of it but proud of it. It's so embarrassing. Big sister, I'm here. You can't kick me out of the spaceship, right? I'll die. Xiaoming pretended to be sad when he answered. But he didn't use the name Alcoa that he used on Mars. Xian Shui didn't hear the difference, but just motioned Xiaoming to get in the car, and said with a smile, "It's hard to say, it depends on your performance." The hover car quickly arrived at the bridge. Zinshui suddenly felt a little uneasy, as if she was bringing her boyfriend home to meet her parents. Xianku didn't care. She saw the shadow clone before, but now she finally saw him in person. This leader is a little poor physically, only at the level of a D-level reincarnator, but his mental power is very strong, at least B-level. It seems that he is a reincarnator who focuses on the spiritual system. I don't know what the level of technology is. Captain, I just checked the entire spacecraft with a circle, and I can't see any external damage. It may be a problem with the computer system, Xiaoming reported cautiously. Well, it is indeed a good thing that there is no hardware failure. But the software is also very troublesome. Ahem. As he spoke, Xianku began to cough. This just ended Xian Shui's embarrassment just now. She quickly took care of her father and explained the situation in her father's place. Handsome pot, leader, how could you call a handsome guy in front of his father? Zinshui quickly changed his tune. The computer system of this spaceship is so advanced that we haven't been able to break through the firewall for several months. I don't know. I can't say this, but I can try. Xiaoming doesn't think his computer skills are of any use, but he plans to use plugins. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 610. Xiaoming did not deal with the problem in front of the Shen family, so as not to expose his strength. This is common sense for reincarnations. Anyway, his circle can cover the entire spacecraft, and the scanning map can see a large area near Sheneng 2 in his mind. In space, the range of scanning maps is particularly wide. To deal with the problem of Sheneng 2, Xiaoming's computer technology is not enough, and he must find another way. Xiaoming's approach is to first give the artificial intelligence of Sheneng 2 a soul. So little Sheneng was born, and soon he confirmed that his father was Xiaoming. He immediately started crying. The artificial intelligence actually knew that there was a problem a long time ago, but no one had the right to listen to it. Now that he has an independent soul, he can ignore some of his own restrictions. He cried directly to Xiaoming in the mental connection. Of course, no one in the Shen family can see these situations. It turned out that the situation was like this. The predecessor of Sheneng 2, Avalon, once suffered a strong meteorite attack. It caused a failure in the power system and caused an overload. And this fault cannot be fixed by artificial intelligence itself. If Xiao Sheneng had an independent soul at that time, some trade-offs would be made and some unnecessary functions would be cancelled. The overload problem would be solved directly. Even without a soul, the problem could be solved with sufficient authority. Unfortunately, the humans in that world are very vigilant about artificial intelligence and do not allow it to change its program at will. As a result, the overload problem becomes more and more troublesome. Many systems have failed, and the male protagonist woke up from the dormant chamber because of this. and more failures have made the overload problem of the power reactor more serious. If it is not dealt with, the reactor may explode completely in a year or two due to being overwhelmed. Then the entire spacecraft will be ruined. Since the protagonist is a mechanical worker, there is such a saying: artificial intelligence deliberately caused problems in the protagonist's dormant chamber to wake him up. If you think about it carefully, it is actually not very reasonable. If you want to wake him up, it is more appropriate to wake up a crew member with higher authority. There is no way that there are no workers who can repair machinery among the crew. Waking up those people is much more useful than the protagonist. After all, they have high authority and are professional. Of course, there are still many logical problems in the original movie. They are all off topic, so I won't say more here. After Xiao Sheneng obtained the soul, he soon discovered that the problem of nuclear reactor overload was no longer something he could solve by himself. There were not so many functions that could be discarded. Now he could only find a way to repair the nuclear reactor. He still knew how to repair it. It's just that that place requires manual operation, and the computer can't handle it. After explaining the situation to Xiaoming, Xiao Sheneng thought Xiaoming would go to deal with it himself. As a result, a shadow clone appeared out of thin air in the power room and solved the problem directly. This was completely beyond Xiao Sheneng's understanding, and he admired his dad very much. After the problem was solved, Xiaoming did not immediately inform the father and daughter of the Shen family. That would be too evil. There is no way to explain it. So Xiaoming spent several months slowly letting Xiao Sheneng open various permissions to the Shen family one by one, pretending to make it seem like he had broken through the system firewall bit by bit. This was enough to amaze the whole Shen family. Of course, the only one who couldn't hide it completely was Xianku. As an S-level master, he was the most sensitive to crises. When Xiaoming solved the problem, his sense of crisis disappeared immediately. This can't be deceived. It was only a short time since the leader appeared. His people were even chatting with him and others, and the crisis had been automatically resolved. Therefore, Xianku didn't dare to confirm whether the crisis disappeared automatically or was settled by the leader. If it was really the handicraft of the person in front of him, it would be a bit terrifying to think about it. Since then, he has been paying close attention to the leader's every move. However, for a person who can place clones everywhere, no matter how closely he pays attention, it is useless. Besides, Xiao Sheneng has been helping Xiaoming observe the entire spacecraft. Xianku's behavior was soon known to Xiaoming. But Xiaoming didn't care, he thought it was because of Xianshui. As a father, it is normal to pay close attention to his daughter's male friends. On Pangu Star, Xiaoming's body has been under surveillance. He has long been used to it. Xiaoming summoned 20 shadow clones right in front of the father and daughter of the Xian family, and asked them to pretend to operate on computers in various places. After meeting other members of the Xian family, he was personally arranged by the housekeeper to stay in a high-class room. And he also thoughtfully prepared a game cabin. And it turned out to be 2 sets of game cabins. Seeing this, Xiaoming couldn't help but smile. Privileges are really everywhere. Don't think that all the passengers on the entire spaceship are playing the game Martial Arts Planet. Now everyone in the Xian family can play the more advanced Magic Planet. The game of the entire spaceship has not been upgraded. But they can upgrade their own individually. I don't know what method they use to contact the increasingly distant game consoles. Thinking of the breadth and depth of the reincarnation space, such things should not be difficult to find. But they have been playing Martial Arts Planet for a long time, and it is estimated that they can't just give up. In the future, they will probably play the 2 games in turn. To be honest, the martial arts moves in the Martial Arts Planet can also be used as a reference for the God of Death. The Magic Planet can only be played for 12 hours a day, but the Martial Arts Planet is running 24 hours a day. It's just right for 2 shifts. Xiao Ming thought about it and introduced Xiao Sheneng to Malmoer first. They are similar in nature and should be able to chat. As expected, Malmoer is very caring for his new brother, and Xiao Sheneng also likes brother Malmoer very much. By the way, there is also brother Xiao Xiaoer. Even Xiao Sheneng followed them and changed his name to call Xiao Ming Bigda. In order not to appear too partial, Xiao Ming had to divide some of his mental power and made a full body armor for Xiao Sheneng to attach to. The one that Malmoer lives in is called Hot-Blooded Neza, and the one that Xiao Sheneng lives in is called Hot-Blooded Mujia. The functions are basically the same. The relationship between the brothers seems a bit messy, but it doesn't matter. Xiao Ming is too lazy to come up with other names. This move, in addition to making Xiao Sheneng happy, has an additional benefit. Xiao Ming now has 2 game servers. He no longer has to worry about Malmoer going on strike. Malmoer, the heartless one, always plays with Xiao Xiaoer. He hardly pays attention to himself. Xiao Sheneng is still the best, and he is the closest to Xiao Ming. He always sticks to Dada. Xiao Ming is very happy.